The Formula One World Championship is extremely tight after 3 races with 3 different winners. And the next battle in the desert will only intensify the struggle of this showdown. Welcome then to the 4th round of the Formula One World Championship, the Bahrain Grand Prix. 1 point separates the world leader and his escort after the events in Japan. With no time to process, it's time to race on a circuit as fiery as the title battle. In the treacherous Sakir Desert, known for its circuit that has been the stage of fierce battles. This weekend is exciting as Verstappen and Norris are only 1 point apart before Spain's upcoming rule change. So it seems that McLaren is missing the great opportunity they have at hand. So, even though they may run as favorites this weekend, anything can happen, especially on a circuit as difficult as Bahrain's. 2025 has shown that no one should be underestimated. And even though there is a clear number 1 team this year, anything can happen. Let's start the preview of the Grand Prix. Bahrain 2025 of Formula One. Japan may not have been the most exciting Grand Prix in history, but the landscape and context it leaves is quite exciting. From a fight that in a few races can change in a completely radical way. With no time to spare, we head from Japan to Bahrain to carry on with the thrilling World Championship journey. With a battle for the driver's title, which for now is separated by only 1 point. And we have to race on a sandy and desert circuit, which year after year has proven to be a track where amazing battles can be generated. And in the context we have, things are looking pretty good. So, for now, and to start with this preview, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get to know the venue that will bring to life round number 4 of the Formula One World Championship. Sakir, Bahrain. Its circuit is the Bahrain International Circuit, located in the desert of this city, built in the year 2004. 5.4 kilometers of travel, 57 laps, 15 curves, 3 drag reduction system activation zones, and 2 potential zones to make any overtaking maneuver. Characterized by being a track that allows electrifying battles, very strong braking and very treacherous curves. The first sector of the Bahrain circuit is the fastest of its 3 sectors due to its 2 long straights. Both are drag reduction system activation zones. The first zone is activated just before the finish line and extends along the entire main straight to the braking of turn 1. The strongest and most violent braking that this circuit has, but it is usually not the best area to overtake, because just before the braking is the drag reduction system activation zone of its second area, which is located between turns 3 and 4, being the second largest straight of this circuit. So it is a sector composed of 2 long straights and a very strong braking, which prioritizes top speed, but also brakes and traction in that difficult turn number 1 of this track. The second sector is the most technical. This circuit has the most turns, with a combination of low and high-speed corners and a very small straight in the middle. The sector begins with the fast turns 5, 6 and 7, which lead into the braking of turn 8. But from there comes one of the most difficult turns of the calendar. Turn number 10 is a 90-degree turn to the left, where you brake violently downhill and where it is very easy to lose reference and overdo it with the brakes. But a clean exit is needed, looking for traction, because the next little straight is a drag reduction system zone, which is the smallest in size, and it generally serves more to stick to the rivals than to try any overtaking maneuver. The following curves are linked long and fast. So this very technical sector requires a stable car with good braking capacity, but it is also very degrading to the tire. The third sector is very similar in characteristics to the first one. And the route of this circuit ends with a sector characterized by that long straight that crosses from turn 13 to 14, and which has 2 strong braking points. The sector tests traction, brakes and speed, despite lacking a drag reduction system zone on this occasion. But it is advisable to stick close to the rival and pursue him throughout this area to have a chance to battle and overtake in the main straight or subsequent drag reduction system zones. The Bahrain circuit is a challenging track, despite its seemingly simple design. But the challenge lies in finding a balance that allows you to be fast, preserve the rubber well, and not suffer in the hard braking. So, in summary, in the first sector, the most important elements are speed and good brakes. In the second, traction, good brakes, and good high and low speed cornering. And the third, again, speed and brakes shine as the most important elements. As other data to consider, this circuit has wide and long runoff areas, so it is not usual for the safety car to appear. In the 20-year history of this Grand Prix, it has only come out 9 times in Formula 1. So the probability of it coming out for this 2025 edition is just 47%. It's unusual but possible for this device to neutralize the race. So there really isn't a particularly dangerous point on this track, as on many occasions the safety car has come out more for reliability failures than for any type of accident. The brakes and traction are highly punished on this circuit due to the enormous amount of hard braking and low-speed curves that the track has. So it is a practically indispensable element when setting up the cars, which in fact will require a balanced setup in the aerodynamic load to face the fast and slow curves that this circuit has, and not overly punish the huge straights that surround the track, making balance completely key in the setups. And fortunately, on this circuit you can battle and overtake to make a wide track with long straights. But there are 2 particular points that stand out on the entire track where the best overtaking maneuvers can be made. The first point is at turn 1 after the drag reduction system straight. With its strong braking, it provides a very good overtaking opportunity if the driver is quite aggressive with the brakes. But as the drag reduction system detection zone for the next straight is located just before turn number 1. If you overtake, you open up the possibility for the other driver to counterattack you with the drag reduction system. So thanks to this, the second drag reduction system zone, that is, the second long straight, is the best point to overtake on this track. To do this, suction has to be created throughout this area, and when you get to the braking point, you can try to overtake either on the inside or the outside of the turn. And what follows is a section of fast and slow turns. It gives you the opportunity to pull away and avoid any counterattacks that could be made against you later using the drag reduction system. So the difficulty of overtaking on this circuit, on a scale of 1 to 5, is a 2.5. It has its quirks, yes, but the maneuvers are quite possible. In the Bahrain pit lane, you drive at 80 km per hour, making it a fast transit. The entrance and exit are right on the main straight, but it's a wide box that crosses everything and tenses up in about 24 seconds. The tire wear level of this circuit is high. The track has a very high abrasion level, and the hard braking and lateral loads punish the tire a lot. In addition, the stress to which the rubber is subjected is at a midpoint. So in general terms, the race should go to 2 pit stops. Although last year, some teams decided to mostly use the soft tire in the first and last stint. For this Grand Prix, Pirelli will provide the C1, C2, and C3 compounds, representing their hardest range. Bahrain. It's a very complicated track, and those cars that have weaknesses in slow cornering or high degradation on this circuit are going to suffer beautifully. It's already a very punishing track with those strong brakes, but it's a circuit where battling is really possible. And the battles that take place here are usually completely insane. But where balance, precision, and a car that gives a lot of confidence are needed to properly face the challenge and triumph on the desert circuit of Bahrain. Things in Japan went completely off script thanks to the new asphalt of Suzuka, which completely changed the game. But it has left the title fight even tighter, with 3 different winners in the first 3 races of the year. So many are wondering if this trend will continue in Bahrain or if things will return to normal. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 1x1 of teams and drivers of this new round to be run on the Bahrain circuit. Despite the fact that McLaren still has the fastest car, in general terms, they suffered a major setback in Japan, where Max Verstappen defeated them for the first time this year. Speaking specifically about Sunday's race, and the difference in the drivers' standings is minimal, with just 1 point between Lando Norris and the Dutch driver. Despite the criticisms of the team's decision-making, there are 2 main reasons why they lost the last race. The poor qualifying laps from Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri allowed Max to beat them. And the other is thanks to the new asphalt of the Suzuka circuit, which took almost everyone on the grid by surprise. Because degradation practically did not exist, and it neutralized one of the great advantages that McLaren had, so they couldn't handle Max Verstappen in the race. McLaren knows they are missing opportunities to pull away in both tables, as it is rumored that this will be one of the teams severely affected by the technical regulations that will come into effect from the Spanish Grand Prix. If they keep wasting opportunities, they may pay a steep price this season. In Bahrain, they are favorites once again, but a particular situation could affect them. Their car continues to be very unruly in hard braking and low-speed corners, and that problem could become more pronounced on this circuit. But at the same time, the great advantage they have with the issue of tire management will shine again. So an easy race is not expected for them, but they can win again on a circuit that, a priori, benefits them much more than it harms them. Mercedes missed a great opportunity in Japan to score valuable points again after a mediocre qualification in the last attempt at the Suzuka circuit. The race pace looked quite promising, seeing what Antonelli ended up doing in that Grand Prix. But as Russell got bogged down behind Leclerc, unable to overtake him, they could hardly do anything. I say miss a great opportunity because, on paper, seeing the W16's weaknesses, Bahrain is not theoretically the most beneficial circuit for the car. As with the Japanese Grand Prix, although with the car as balanced as it seems they have and the good race pace they have shown, they cannot be ruled out for this Grand Prix. So Mercedes will look to correct what happened at the Suzuka Grand Prix and get back on track in this next race on Bahrain soil.
Red Bull achieved a very important victory with Max Verstappen.
In the intention of giving Max the opportunity to obtain his 5th consecutive Drivers' Championship. But things remain as they are. Max had a huge opportunity which he took advantage of with a crazy lap in qualification. The low degradation that occurred in Suzuka and the clean air gave him the opportunity to hold back the McLarens, who seem to have a faster pace. Although the RB21 driven by Verstappen is evidently not the 4th car on the grid, far from it. These circumstances, combined with Max's perfect drive, allowed him to win in Japan. But it has also allowed us to visualize under what conditions the single-seater seems to work best. And on circuits where the front part is more relevant, like Suzuka, which requires more stiffness. In the car, the RB21 seems to be more competitive, while in those where more grip is required at the rear, like in China, they are their biggest weakness. So if this data compilation ends up being true in Bahrain, with the high degradation this track has and being the type of circuit it is, the victory should not be as within reach for Max Verstappen as it was in the particular case of the Japanese Grand Prix. Red Bull expects improvements in Imola to avoid relying on different circuit types. And obviously to the regulatory change in Spain to start putting more pressure on McLaren in the fight for the titles. So even if they can't win at this Bahrain Grand Prix, they will seek to resist, survive, and then hit with everything they have in order to achieve that title. For Max Verstappen, ladies and gentlemen, it's undeniable that the disappointment of the current season is the Prancing Horse team, who clearly have the 4th single-seater, at least for now. Frederick Vasseur has stated that the gap between them and McLaren is roughly 0.3 of a second. And they don't have any magic solutions on the way, but they have an idea of how to solve the problems they have now and start making progress to try to catch up with them. For this Grand Prix, media reports suggest Ferrari will bring a revised floor to address the car's bounce issues. Generate a more efficient aerodynamic load that reduces the oversteering issue that is really killing this single-seater. As I mentioned, this new floor is not a magic solution, but they understand that their current problem appears to have a solution. So, for now, all we can do is see if this allows them to get out of where they currently are and start unlocking more of that potential they see in the SF25. But, at least for now, it remains difficult to predict their real position ahead of the next race on the ground of Vere. Williams. For the 3rd straight Grand Prix, Alex Albon has helped them score points, making them the current best midfield team. However, their major concern is that Carlos Sainz still can't get the pace out of the car. Japan was another disappointing Grand Prix for the Spanish driver. However, he is confident of finding his best form from Bahrain, where they are optimistic about the car's pace. So the chances will be there again to score points. So we'll have to see if Williams can keep up the good pace. And for the 4th consecutive race, find the points that help them consolidate their position in the table. Haas surprised again with the point earned by Oliver Baumann in the last race, whose pace surprised even his own team. However, Haas brought a revised floor in the last race. And it seems that this was the key to the point earned by Oliver Baumann, as this new floor limited the rebounds and allowed the single-seater to be able to resist in that 10th position with good pace. There's optimism about fighting for points again in Bahrain if things continue as they were in the Japanese Grand Prix. This competition will confirm if that floor was the key to unlocking the single-seater's potential. That allows Haziger to battle for points consistently. Aston Martin faces a similar situation. Their car can score points, but it's challenging under normal conditions. Improvements from the new wind tunnel are expected by the Miami Grand Prix. So Aston Martin will have to try to look for the points, taking advantage of others' mistakes until those improvements translate into performance. So for this competition, the points seem difficult for Aston Martin to get, but not impossible. And everything will depend on the good work this team can do when setting up the single-seater. Racing Bulls confirmed again that their car is to lead the mid-table. They could now see the points thanks to a surprising Isaac Hadjar confirming the car's strong performance in all conditions. Once again, they should be mid-table favorites. In Bahrain, Hadjar will have another chance to showcase his talent. And Lawson to regain form before Red Bull decides to do without his services. So for this race, the Racing Bulls once again look like the favorites of that middle group where Williams, they and the Aston Martin team are located. Sauber's situation looks practically the same as in past races, except for chaotic situations. Points seem quite difficult to achieve under normal conditions. And it seems that Sauber will be one of the first teams to have the development of the 2025 car to focus on 2026. They can only rely on their first upgrade packages to see if they can change the situation and get a little closer, at least, to the block of teams they have in front. But at least for now, unless a chaotic situation happens, it looks complicated for both Bortoleto and Nico Hülkenberg to score points. The Alpine situation is complex, with the car's pace seemingly poor, particularly after the rear wing incident. Moreover, Dojan's accident during Japan's practice compounded his previous mishaps this season. It has cost a lot of money in repairs, and the pressures keep increasing, while rumors continue about his possible replacement. Alpine knows about the current deficit and they are working to reduce it. But all the focus and priority of this team is to start performing well from the next year. The Grand Prix situation appears unlikely to change significantly, making points difficult to obtain initially. But we'll see how Dujan recovers from all this situation he's been going through. And what if, from the first updates, the team has a small resurgence? Or if they are doomed in rhythm, completely focused on what may come from 2026? The weather this weekend will be typical for the desert regions of this area. Rain will not make an appearance on any of the 3 days of the Grand Prix, with a resounding 0% chance of rain.
However, high temperatures are expected to range between 29 and 32 degrees.
So ladies and gentlemen, prepare for a race with a dry track but high temperatures on the night of Bahrain. And finally, to end this preview, it's time for the historical data section, which this time corresponds to the Bahrain Grand Prix. Home to the 4th round of the Formula One World Championship, the Bahrain Grand Prix saw its first Formula One competition. Germantil completed this circuit in 2004. What happened from 2004 to 2013? The Grand Prix took place during the day, until in the year 2014, the lighting system was installed that allowed night races on this circuit. This Grand Prix has not been run anywhere else other than this circuit. Despite Bahrain not having another venue since its Grand Prix, the circuit has been transformed up to 3 times to have different configurations and different circuits. In 2010, the long endurance version was used only for that season. In 2020, it did. Its appearance on the calendar, the perimeter circuit for what was the Sakir Grand Prix Bahrain. As such, it has never had a driver from its country in Formula One, and the one who came closest to Formula One, so to speak, was the driver Hamad Al-Fardan, who at most reached Grand Prix 2 in the year 2009, but was never really even close to reaching Formula One. The lap record in this track is held by the Spanish driver Pedro de la Rosa, who in the year 2005 set a record of 1:31.447 as the best lap in the race to date, a record that no driver over these years has been able to fully snatch away. Scuderia Ferrari is the most successful team in the history of this Grand Prix, winning 7 times, from 2004 to 2022, and the top podium of winners in the history of Formula One of this Bahrain Grand Prix. In third place is Fernando Alonso with 3 victories, in second place is Sebastian Vettel with 4, and the all-time winner of this Grand Prix is Lewis Hamilton, who has claimed victory up to 5 times in the years 2014, 2015, 2019, 2020 and 2021. These are essentially the historical data and some curiosities of the Bahrain Grand Prix and its drought circuit. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the preview of the 2025 Formula One Bahrain Grand Prix. But this is where I ask you, do you think Max Verstappen will have another chance to snatch a victory from the McLaren men on this circuit? Do you think McLaren will bounce back strong after their recent minor setback in the last race? And let me know your top 3 of who you think will be the first 3 drivers to occupy the podium at the end of the Bahrain Grand Prix this Sunday. Let me know all your opinions in the comments section. I'll sign off by saying that if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so you know when I'm uploading a new video, and share this with your friends. I also invite you to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter accounts linked in the video description. And see you this Sunday, For the summary at the end of the Bahrain Grand Prix, thank you for tuning in and see you later.